And here's the Nissan transmission again. Now you may be asking yourself, hey, in the last video, that transmission was in the truck. Why is it not in the truck? Good question. I'll tell you why. When was the last time you were told, it's easy, you knock it out in a few hours? A weekend here, a weekend there, it's done, man, it's simple. Yeah, by somebody who's never done it. Okay, not to say that this isn't fairly simple. Maybe I'm making it more complicated than it needs to be. But it also is a swap that really is not real common, at least as of yet. And there may be a good reason why. It's slow going initially to make sure everything works properly. And when you put out a kit that, when you buy it and install it, that it operates the way it's supposed to. But every swap is just a little different. So it's pretty difficult to put out a kit of any sort that is complete bolt in, and there is no second guessing. There's no, oops, well, I should have done this, I should have done that. Let's get back under the truck so I can show you what I was looking at and why it is the way it is today. Okay, first of all, let me apologize if you hear the fan in the background. The reason why, the shop's a little warm. Got to have some circulation in here. I'm already sweating enough as it is. Okay, let's get under the truck. The exhaust system is basically out of it as well. That's another story. Okay, originally it was installed the first time just for clearance purposes, just to make sure, there was no contact with the flooring, the sheet metal, everything fit, nothing was in the way, no problem. Pull it back out, put the clutch in it. I had a little difficulty installing it, and maybe because I was doing it by myself. It is a fairly heavy transmission. I started losing sleep thinking I did something to the pilot bearing. I'm afraid I might have pushed it in. I did not. I pulled it out the second time to verify my bearing was okay, which it was. So I put it in the third time. Completely had it buttoned up. I mean, fluid, modified shifter, everything. When I went to start it in neutral, it started just fine, but it would not go into gear. If I started it in gear, it may start, but I couldn't get it out of gear, or it would move a little bit, which told me that the clutch plate was making contact with my flywheel. So something was off. After taking it apart, I wanted to examine the clutch. And here it is. I wanted to make sure because there was, I found out later, a couple months ago, the manufacturer of this particular pressure plate had made some modifications to it, and that there may be contact between the little ears here around the bolts where it sticks out and the clutch plate. Well, I've got the correct clutch plate, and there is about half a centimeter of space all the way around, so it is not the clutch. Yeah, that doesn't leave too much else, but what we've determined, that doesn't leave a lot else, but what it does leave is the master cylinder. So we've determined that's what the issue is. The stock clutch master cylinder on this truck is about 11/16, and it may be that it's just not pushing enough fluid so that it's completely disengaging the clutch every time we're pushing the clutch back. So the idea today is I'm going to start working on putting everything back together the way I had it, get it completely in, drop the truck, and then we're going to see about taking off the master cylinder and seeking a larger one. That's a whole project into itself, and when we get that worked out, I will be back with that. But while I was under the truck in the first place, or third place, depending on how you look at it, at this point you can see I've got it down to where it's just the crossover and the X pipe. I'll take you out in a minute and I'll show you what the parts look like that I have not modified. I'll show you the parts to see what I've kind of done to it. The dump was right here in front of the rear axle. I wanted to take it up and over the rear end and out the back, so it'd be a little quieter inside the truck. And I figured this is a good time to do it since the truck's up in the air. And it's going to be up here for just a little bit. Let me go outside and show you what's going on there. I've already modified some of the existing piping, and right here back on the porch. And here's where I'm working on it now, just to paint some high heat paint. I didn't use expensive tubing, just practicing. Basically, it's a good mock-up. I'll have to replace it at some point in the future, but for right now, it works fine. This is the part, these are the ends that attach to the X pipe. One goes straight out and the other has a bend because the X pipe from center to center, I believe, is 4 inches, and it's not enough room for the center of each muffler to each other because of the width of the muffler themselves. So it has to space it out a little bit. The pipe right here, I cut it and it was reversed 180 degrees. So these were pointing down. Now they're pointing up. It goes like this. So this way it goes up and over the rear axle. And I've got everything welded up and I made some pipes. These are the two that go directly over the rear end and then down, and these will go out to the rear bumper. And you may wonder, how in the world do you do that? These are not slip joints. I mean, there is a slip joint here. That helps. There's not one on this pipe. And on these two, there's nothing here either. And the way I did that, the way you can get a nice cut so that you can weld it like that, is this tool right over here. I got this from a company called Swag. They make this nifty, heavy-duty little table, real easy to assemble. And it basically takes a scroll saw and makes it into a bandsaw. I bought this from Harbor Freight years ago when the Bauer brand first came out. They had a special one day. I bought the bandsaw for a different project. I think it was around $100 at the time, $125, something like that. I don't think the prices have changed too much. But the cool thing about it is it worked fine for the project I had at the time, but it would not work for the exhaust because I could not get a straight 90-degree cut. Well, this comes into play and it works great. The plate on top, you see it's got a bunch of different holes, and that is so it will fit a bunch of different brands of bandsaw. For my particular brand, it only takes these 2 screws to attach this plate to the unit itself. No modifications to the unit, and it's held in. I got one little knob screw there that kind of keeps it in place. Got an adapter here, so this plugs in and provides power also to a foot operated power pedal, so that I can do that without having to touch anything with my foot, but my foot. And man, it makes straight cuts. You can get that pipe and just run it straight through at whatever angle you need to make a nice clean cut. Does it quick, and it is worth every dime. At first, when I bought this, I thought it was a little pricey. Couldn't find anything that was better. But after buying it and having used it now for a couple of different exhaust systems, it is worth its weight in gold. I highly suggest if you are going to do any work with piping at all, or in general, I use this way more than I ever thought I would. The bandsaw literally sat in a box on the shelf most of the time. I rarely pulled it out. And ever since I've mounted it like this, I find myself using it constantly. So I'm going to continue throwing some paint on this exhaust. It's shaking good. Put some tape around this end just to keep the muffler from getting painted as well. And it's looking sharp. To give it a little longer life, this is Rust-Oleum high heat up to, let's see, up to 1200 degrees. That ought to be good enough. And this is a semi-gloss black rather than your typical flat black that you get for grill paint. And my welds, well, I'm not a professional welder by any means. I think they turned out pretty good. I have not used a grinder on them. I simply used a flap disc to clean the area, clean the paint off, welded them, and used the brush to knock off any slag or clean up the trash left from welding. This piping is stuff I bought off of Amazon. It's a kit. I think there was enough to do 2 exhaust systems on it. And it was like $149 or something. I mean, it's pretty cheap. Seems like it's a little better if you don't paint it directly in the sun. Get the shade. Now the 2 pieces that mount to this that are going over the rear axle, I'm going to get some clamps because this is clamped. This end is clamped into the X pipe. I want this other end to be clamped into the tailpipe. So if I ever need to take the system off or do something about it, it'll be easy to remove. And I ordered some clamps today. They're stainless. I think they were like 14 bucks off Amazon, of course. And because it's Rust-Oleum, you know it's good. Well, okay, I'm thinking that looks pretty professional, at least from 20 feet. Yeah, here's the 2 pipes, and I will be leaving these ends unpainted for the moment because I'll have to be welding the tailpipes to that rather than grinding off the paint. I'll just leave it that way, and once I determine the length of the tailpipe and weld it up, then I'll finish painting that. But all in all, I think that'll look a little better and it should sound a lot better too, a little bit quieter in that truck. Hey guys, just wanted to bring you that update on the 91. It's coming along. I didn't want to leave you waiting. It's just really hot here, and I do not have air conditioning in the shop. And after about 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it's about 93 to 95 in here. And it's not near as much fun to work when I can't see what I'm doing because I'm sweating so bad. So wherever you are, I know it's bound to be hot. Hydrate and keep wrenching, man. I'll see you in the next video.